All right, everyone, we'll go ahead and get started on the webinar. So once again, welcome to today's webinar, What's New in Civil 3D and InfraWorks. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, the presenter, Rob Alderman, will be answering questions at the end of this webinar. But please do type your questions into the question box in your GoToWebinar control panel, not in the chat panel. Also, a recorded version of this webinar will be available on our website and YouTube channel within a couple days. So you'll be receiving an email with the link once it's available. And before we jump into the webinar, I just want to introduce Microdesk to you all. So Microdesk was founded in 1994 as an Autodesk reseller with a simple mission to assist architecture, engineering, construction owners, and GIS firms with improving workflows and integrating project delivery technology. 25 years later, that mission still holds true. Microdesk is a well-established AECO consulting firm with 13 offices in the US and UK. We have over 230 AECO consultants, solution specialists, and software developers that can help in all sectors, all disciplines, and at all stages. Some of the hottest topics in the AEC world are globalization, urbanization, and sustainability. Urbanization studies suggest that the US alone will build 114 cities the size of Boston in the next 30 years. Here at Microdesk, we can help to make sure you're prepared to meet those demands. We use software from industry leaders and combine it with our vision and passion for sustainability to meet the demands of urbanization and globalization. Our team of industry expert consultants are redefining project delivery and asset management. We're committed to helping clients realize the business benefits of BIM quickly and economically by facilitating the use of innovative technologies and processes. Whether it's streamlining your design, construction, or operations, our consulting team is the nation's largest and most experienced group of AECO technology professionals. Microdesk's clients represent some of the nation's most respected organizations and public agencies, including the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Denver Airport, and Columbia University, amongst others. To help support the industry with these demands of urbanization, we provide full-service consulting. This includes building information modeling services, enterprise strategy and workflow assessments, technology management, mentoring and support, application development, and much more. We partner with world leaders such as Autodesk and IBM to utilize innovative technologies to empower sustainable design and overcome local challenges. Our vision is to reduce the environmental impact of urbanization by helping the AECO industry to design, construct, and operate better projects more efficiently by leveraging the full potential of BIM, VDC, and asset management. Now, Rob will jump on to take you through today's webinar. Thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you very much, Jasenia. My name is Rob Alderman, Strategic Implementation Manager for Infrastructure Services at Microdesk. I'm a professional engineer in the state of Massachusetts, logging over 6 years as a technical lead on the infrastructure team. I focus on providing strategy and insight for CAD program management, development, and implementation. I have a diverse project experience that covers many design disciplines, from residential and commercial site development to transportation, coastal, and hurricane protection infrastructure projects. All right, so we have a pretty ambitious agenda today. We're covering all the available updates for Civil 3D and InfraWorks, available in roughly 30 minutes, so there's a lot to cover. I'll move fairly quickly covering the highlighted new features for each update before I transition to an in-app demo of the most noteworthy new features, which would be the Arcgis Connector and the BIM 360 design collaboration. So once the software demonstration is wrapped, again, we'll open the floor to a question and answer session. As Jasenia had mentioned, this webinar will be recorded and posted for your convenience. So let's get into it. Starting off, we'll start with Civil 3D side of things, starting with 2020.1. We have a lot of new features and enhancements here. So the Autodesk Connector for ArcGIS is going to leverage GIS data from ArcGIS Online to create intelligent and dynamic Civil 3D objects. Users also now have access to saving the model changes in your Civil 3D model back to ArcGIS, in addition to publishing a new model to ArcGIS. The dynamic, the dynamic rail feature lines now allow railway project users to generate, edit, and export parameter-based rail lines that dynamically adjust to modifications of the parent rail alignment, profile, and cant. And other improvements that were made for the 2020.1 update include improvements to the reference templates workflow, improved XML support for the data exchange of feature lines, gravity network analysis, and improved design efficiency for viewing pressure networks in profile view. So the Autodesk Connector for ArcGIS provides an interface for serving GIS data directly and dynamically from ArcGIS to a Civil 3D model. Users can generate alignments, points, feature lines, parcels, and gravity network objects from the compatible data types on ArcGIS Online. To access the Autodesk Connector, you're going to click on the Insert tab and locate the ArcGIS panel, and then just click the Autodesk Connector for ArcGIS button to activate the app. The Autodesk Connector for ArcGIS allows users to rapidly and easily create Civil 3D objects from an ArcGIS online data connection. Search by location and choose an area of interest to import into the map view. You choose which map data to connect to, and this exposes a listing of the data in the feature layers that can create Civil 3D objects. From there, you set the model output and choose the object types for each map feature and add to the model. When you're using pipe networks, you can map network schema and move all of that data over into Civil 3D from GIS into the pipe network model. Oops. Apologize there, a little technical glitch. So we also now have the ability to save the changes back to GIS. So we can round trip the data now, and when we need to create data in the pipe network model, we can actually publish that new data right into ArcGIS Online. So let's talk a little bit about the dynamic rail feature lines. Again, to start off with, you're going to want to create your alignments as a rail type alignment. And then what you'll be able to do is activate these dynamic rail feature lines from the ribbon. So when you go to create these dynamic rail feature lines, you'll assign a tolerance that's based on a foot distance or another station-based criteria for placing the elevation vertex points along the feature lines. You can create the feature lines for the center, for the left and the right rail lines, and the dynamic behavior is going to be based on not only the alignment layout, but the profile and the cant. Another nice new enhancement that we have is the Analyze Gravity Network enhancement. So this allows us to now perform in-application network analysis and apply those changes right inside the model. So this is something that designers have been looking for a long time, just to have that in-application ability to modify the network model. It gives us the analysis options to resize the pipes and reset inverts. We can compute the energy grade line and the hydraulic grade line. We can perform inlet analysis, and we can even report all that to a very document-friendly Excel format. All right, let's move to the Civil 3D 2020.2, new features and enhancements. Civil 3D 2020.2 was basically all about releasing design collaboration for Civil 3D in BIM 360. So this is going to provide us with a managed collaboration platform that brings multidisciplinary party proponents into the same platform and allows everybody to work together fairly seamlessly. It also does a nice thing where it checks the entitlements to make sure people are using the correct software that's compatible with enabling all of these data flows between design applications. We have the file locking and the reference support for adding external references and data shortcut references to Civil 3D. So now we can add those types of references for building drawing sets right through the cloud. And to access all of that drawing data, we now have the Civil 3D Home tab BIM 360 page, which I'll be showing you shortly. In addition, we have new roadway design standards. So back in 2018, ASHO had issued some new design guidance that basically made it necessary to provide some updated design check files so that users can provide design validation to their alignment objects. So we have new files, and they're available in both imperial and metric versions. Civil 3D 2020.3 is basically, Autodesk shied away from doing more new features and basically worked on what was already being offered. So they offered a lot of improvements and fixes. I'm not going to go through every single one of the release notes, but I've provided a QR scan code in the upper right corner, and you can also go to the web for the Civil 3D 2020.3 release notes just as easily. So again, there's a long list, as you can see from my scroll credits here. So one thing to know is that this is all-encompassing. It includes both the 2020.1 and the 2020.2 improvements and fixes. And the improvements and fixes are based primarily around the collaboration for Civil 3D, BIM 360. In other words, viewing cross sections, working with data shortcuts, drawing, exporting, and saving, working with feature lines, and pipe networks are all pieces that were improved. All right, let's move over to the InfraWorks side of things and start with the 2020.1 update. And the InfraWorks 2020.1 update was mainly based around two pieces: the new user interface to give it a more modern look and make it more consistent with the other Autodesk AEC products, such as Civil 3D and Revit, which has the new blue theme. So now InfraWorks has the same type of look going on for it. In addition, some Autodesk Connector for Arcgis functionality was introduced, and we'll cover that as well. So let's take a look at the new InfraWorks 2020.1 user interface. So the first thing you'll notice is that the kind of immersive display that used to be used is now been abandoned for a toolbar. So we have two portions of the toolbar. That's number one, and you'll see it works very much like a ribbon in some ways. It's there's two sides to it. There's toolbar left and toolbar right. Now the toolbar left functions are going to give you some kind of more tailored commands to certain areas of infrastructure task workflows, whereas the toolbar right commands they're commands that you're going to want to see at all phases of the design process and the modeling process. So basically you want to be, if you're thinking about certain context to work in, you're thinking about working off of toolbar left, and toolbar right is for when you have things that are very repetitive with any workflow. You have the project space as number two element, and all of the docked panels, typically they appear on the right now, and they're basically activated by any of the buttons that are in the toolbar on the left side. All right, so the Autodesk Connector for ArcGIS in 2020.1, we had some functionality in prior versions. With the first release, we were able to load a data set and save some of the changes back to the feature service. But what we're able to do now is we can actually change feature classes and add attribute data before we move those back to ArcGIS Online. So it's really expanding on our ability to provide new data schema. Publish information directly to ArcGIS Online. Once you've created new model data, you want some way of bringing that up to the GIS database, so you're able to do that using the publish commands. All right, moving to InfraWorks 2020.2. There was a lot of new features and enhancements that were provided here. I'm not going to be able to go into all of them, but for the most part, they're all centered around, again, the major theme here is collaboration and data exchange between the applications, which seems to be improving with every release, is the Autodesk Connector for ArcGIS and the BIM 360 design collaboration. Specifically in the case of InfraWorks for BIM 360, now we're able to access our view bookmarks from within the design collaboration platform. In addition, design efficiency and design validation enhancements were provided. Civil structures, we're able to bring in parametric bearings now from Inventor. So we'll do some content authoring in Inventor, and we can import those into that are parametric based right into InfraWorks. And when we do that, we'll have design control over those bearings. In addition, you'll want to have some bearing data output available for that. So Autodesk provided a way to see the bearing parameter data as well. Roadway design, there is a new best fit elevation vertex prediction method that's been provided. It's actually a setting that allows you to best fit. It basically looks at the next sections and makes a educated guess as to what the next best profile elevation will be. Finally, we have traffic simulation improvements. We have functionality for turning lanes and roundabouts and U-turns now. All right, so now it's time to look at some in-app demonstrations. And again, I'm not going to demonstrate every single feature, but I'm going to demonstrate some of the standout features, which are kind of the central themes of this year's improvements. Whoops. Not quite ready for that slide yet. So we're going to move over into Civil 3D at this point. So the first demonstration is to show you how the new connector for ArcGIS works. And the first thing I want to do actually, before I even bring in any of the data, is kind of go over how to get that data in ArcGIS created. So I have everything opened up here. And the other thing I want to do is I want to send a big shout out to the city of Cambridge, Massachusetts, for having an amazing GIS system that is super easy to access and comprehensive and well organized. You guys do a fantastic job, so thank you very much for the data. So I will say, so I used a lot of that data to build a model of a small location around this pond right outside of Boston called Fresh Pond. And this is in Cambridge, Massachusetts, once again. So project basically is to use this park here and maybe create some sort of infrastructure here for maybe a community center or something like that on this beautiful piece of land here. So I've populated a map here. It's called Cambridge, Mass. Public Data. This is all easily accessible public data. And it was very simple to put this map together. It's in my ArcGIS online account. I haven't paid for anything. This is free. So anybody can get this data into Civil 3D. So let's move back to Civil 3D at this point. And we're looking at the same location here. I have my geolocation aerial map turned on currently, so you can see the location that we're in. So to insert any sort of data, I always want to go to my insert tab in the ribbon, and I'll search for my ArcGIS panel, and you'll see Autodesk Connector for ArcGIS. When I left click on that, it will activate the Autodesk Connector for ArcGIS. It takes a moment for it to pop up. So I'm going to search for Fresh Pond in Cambridge. And there it pops up. That's Fresh Pond Lane. We'll just need to zoom back out. And there it is. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create an area of interest. And what this area of interest is going to do is it's going to filter out the available GIS data and maps that are available to me. And it's also going to limit the amount of Civil 3D data objects that come in. So only objects will only come in within the window. So I'll choose the area of interest. That looks like a pretty good size chunk there. So now that I've checked that off, I have a few different options here. So first, you can look at content that you own right from your ArcGIS online account. So I created this map here from the public data, so I'm going to choose that first. And when I choose that, what I can do is I can choose which objects I want to have come into my model in Civil 3D. So then you're going to want to choose what data type to bring in. So I will want my street trees to come in as Kogo points. I want my water bodies to come in as feature lines. And I have parcel data, so I want that parcel data to just come in as parcel objects. So that's it for that map. What about if I want to use a public map? So if I have a public map, now I had created a public map from some City of Cambridge data. and I just left the shape file name on its own. It's called trans center lines. There it is right there. So I just pick that up right there. I click on it, choose the object. So this is all going to come in as alignments. So you can see I selected the first 3, and those are still in my selection set. I've got 4 selected now. Now I'm going to add that to my design project. You give it just a few moments for it to populate. You'll see it comes in right on target. And there's our data. So again, here's our water body. We have a feature line to outline the shore. We have a parcel object. We have parcels for the residential areas. We have COGO points for the trees. And we have alignments for our roadway center lines. And these are all dynamically connected back to ArcGIS online. So you can make changes to these objects and save them back and change the map online. So let's take a look at how this is actually done on the InfraWorks side now. So I have this this model here is the same model called Cambridge, Mass. And basically, it's the same process. I've already brought everything in. This is kind of just the finished product. But what you can see is I brought in the parcel data. I've actually also brought in the road shape files. I brought in the parking lot shape files. Oh, and InfraWorks is wanting to freeze on me. Just give it a moment to think. Maybe switch applications and go back. Always the fun of doing an in-app demo. So I'm just going to move this right back to Civil 3D. And let's take a look while InfraWorks is thinking. Let's take a look at BIM 360 for Civil 3D. So I'm going to shut this down. This is just my example for how to populate a drawing easily using the connector. And let's say that we're working here in the Home tab. Notice that we have the BIM 360 page now. So we're able to access our cloud files off of BIM 360 Design and BIM 360 Docs just by staying right in Civil 3D. We don't have to go into our local drive to pull it out and open it. We just need to go to the BIM 360 page. So I'm going to open up my Fresh Pond base map. So it's going to take a moment or two to open up. But basically, I have just created a conceptual level base model using the ArcGIS data. I have created a Civil 3D surface from my InfraWorks model by importing an IMX file. The one thing I want to show you here is that there's no real new knowledge that needs to be learned to use BIM 360. It still uses data shortcuts in exactly the same way. It uses an XREF in exactly the same way. Actually, let me show you. Let me open up the design drawing so you can see how that is created. So this is the layout design. And basically, this is just a drawing that was created from XREFs and data shortcuts. And give it a moment here to start up. So as you can see, I have a surface in here. The surface is a data shortcut, as you can see, and there's nothing special about these. It's just that the referencing functionality has now been provided by Autodesk so that it works over a cloud connection, which was something that was always missing. So let's bring in an alignment right from the data shortcut project. And again, there's no real difference here about how these are created. So I'll create a reference, still using a proposed style. We'll use the all labels, add that. And there's our center line. Do the same here for the other center line. And there they are. Now we can just go ahead and sample a surface how we always would and start developing an elevation model and starting creating grading and other layout features. So let's see if InfraWorks has finished doing its thinking yet. Doesn't look like it has. I'll just restart that. So let's take a look at the BIM 360 interface. Oops. So when you first start up with BIM 360, when you first log in, the first thing it's going to bring you to is this directory. It wants to know where to go. So you want to go to your project homepage to start off with, and that's going to bring you to your dash view. This basically is a user customizable view of the different projects that are being worked on, some tasks that might need to be addressed, pertinent project data. What we want to actually look for is our document management. So you can see where the documents actually live. So this is the document management system for BIM 360 Docs. And basically what we're looking at here is I have all the GIS data, I have the Civil 3D models. Here's my data shortcuts project folder. I just want to emphasize with what I'm showing you here that there's no difference really to how you set up a project file tree in Windows Explorer or BIM 360. You can build your projects the same exact way off of Windows Explorer or server-based systems as you would in BIM 360. So there's no real learning hurdles to get over there. Let's see if InfraWorks has, nope, still not going. So I'm gonna kill InfraWorks and restart it. So hopefully we can see the Autodesk connector. I do apologize for the technical glitch. We'll open up Cambridge, Mass again. So another thing to point out about InfraWorks in 2020.2 is that they've also refined the model builder. And I'll show you that in just a moment here. We're back up and running. So if we go to build a model now, now we have much the same kind of user interface. In 2020.1, this hadn't been introduced yet, but in 2020.2, we now have this. Once we've created a model and we are basically prompted to, let's port Fresh pond again. I'll call this one Fresh Pond, Cambridge. So I'll let that create itself. Because what I want to show you is that it gives you the ability to do the publishing. Once Model Builder has finished creating the model, it will allow you to publish it directly to BIM 360 or to go to a local location. So let's check out Cambridge again here and see if we can get some of these parcels to come back. So again, if I want to, now I'm getting back to the Arcgis connector. This is the connector in InfraWorks. So you go to the content panel in the Manage tab, and it opens basically the same view that you get. It's basically the same app, but it knows it's working from an InfraWorks model. So when I go to choose my content, let's just bring in parcels. You can bring them in using InfraWorks objects. So you can build the database out for the InfraWorks model using actual features from InfraWorks. So if I was doing this, I'd obviously want to choose the parcels, but since we already have them in there, I'm not going to add them again to the project, but again, it's the same exact process. Oops. Close that. And again, this is the result, the yellow lines for the parcels. And they are configurable just like any other layers in InfraWorks, any other surface layers. You can turn them on and off. So yeah, at this point, it's 20 of 2, and I want to offer everybody a chance to ask questions. So I'm going to end the demo at this point and open the floor back up for questions. Let the questions begin.
Sorry, Rob. I didn't realize I was on mute. But Mario
Okay.
did ask one question. He says, do I need to purchase an ArcGIS license to use these features?
The answer to that question is no, although to do that, you have to kind of figure out some sneaky ways around it, because what I found was certain files won't upload as a feature layer, which is what you really need to have. And you need to have the feature layer be shared with all to have access to it when you're using the free ArcGIS online account. So one thing I've done is I set up ArcGIS with both my Microdesk account and a personal account, and I create some of the data using my personal account, share it up to the world, and then I am able to access it magically somehow on the other end from my other account. I'm guessing it's kind of an error they haven't gotten around to fixing yet, but for now, that's what we have.
All right, we'll open the floor. That was the only question we had in the questions panel. If you folks have any other questions for Rob, please make sure you're asking them in the questions box. Well, I don't think anyone has any other questions. We'll give them just a minute or two more to ask.
it's a lot of information to take in. 3 updates for 2 applications, so yeah, I moved really fast. But again, everyone, if you would just take a look at the video once it gets posted. If there are any other questions after that, you will be able to contact me via email, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions for the time being, we can wrap up the webinar. So once again, this webinar is being recorded. It will be uploaded in a few days. So you will receive an email once that recording is available on our website. All right, folks. Well, stay safe and have a great day. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. Bye.